2024. I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting for the City of Middleton. My name is Heidel Summers. I am the chairman, and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the deputy clerk please do a roll call of our commissioners?
Chairman Summers.
Here.
Commissioner Treble.
Here.
Commissioner Watkins.
Here.
Commissioner Sparrow.
Here.
Commissioner Walton.
Present.
Commissioner Gregory.
Here.
Commissioner Gibson.
Here.
All here.
Great. Okay, this is the time lawfully noticed for hearings scheduled for the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Middleton, Idaho. According to the posted agenda, the deputy clerk has confirmed we have a quorum present to hear the scheduled agenda. So let's go down our agenda here. Our informational items. Number one, I am about ready to complete my term. They thought it was tonight, but jokes on them, I'm back for another month. But next month, you all can come and celebrate me on my last day if you would like. It will be September 9th, Monday evening. But we will take a vote next month for a new chairman and a new vice chair to replace me when I vacate the position.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just in case, I don't know what's going to happen next month, so I just want to take the opportunity to say that you will be sorely missed. You did such a great job.
Thank you.
You just keep things running so smoothly and quickly. I could have dinner, get home, but you really took care of the public. You took care of everybody on the board, and you really did a great job.
Thank you.
So election for chair probably won't happen until the next month when the next appointee
Do
comes
we
in.
have a replacement yet that's been taken to City Council?
It hasn't been taken to City Council yet. Will
Somebody's been
be
It's going on
nominated.
the 21st.
on the 21st, and they'll be ready to step in at that time.
Okay.
But you'll be here next month, hopefully, if things go well. So,
You'll be here.
okay.
Yep. Okay. All right, perfect. So we can go into our action items. Number one, action item, our consent agenda. These are items of routine administrative business. We need to consider approving our minutes for June 10th, 2024, our special joint meeting and a regular meeting. And we also need to consider approving the FCR for the Heights Landing subdivision project. I need to, let's see, anybody have anything on our minutes that we need to have corrected? Anybody see anything that they wanted added?
Motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Do you want a motion to approve the consent agenda items A and B? Okay, so we have a motion to approve our consent agenda items A and B.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Sparrow, second by Commissioner Waltmate. All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I meant aye. I was reading.
Okay, so that is unanimous approval. Okay, so moving on, our public hearing tonight. This is regarding the request of the City of Middleton to amend Middleton City Code Section 5-4-11-2 to require all new homes be built with one, a garage that has a minimum depth of 22 feet, and 2, automatic garage door openers, and 3, roof gutters and downspouts to handle stormwater runoff from every sloped roof. And we need to open our public hearing at 5:40 p.m. Will we be hearing this?
We will, thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So this is a request from the City of Middleton to amend Middleton City Code Section 5-4-11-2 regarding minimum requirements for residential garages and roof gutters. Specifically, Ordinance 698 sets forth requirement that all newly constructed homes have at least 2 garage bays with a depth of 22 feet, and that's finished wall to finished wall or inside wall to inside wall, and and roof gutters installed to handle storm runoff from all sloped roofs. The goal is to require homes to be built with garage space sufficient to accommodate a regular-sized truck. This will allow people to park a truck in their garage rather than parking on their driveway or on the public street. However, on the downside, it could raise the price of new homes or require the builder to remove square footage from another area of the home, like the kitchen or a master bedroom. So there's pros and cons. Requiring roof gutters will ensure that storm water is properly handled, thereby protecting the home and its foundation. Ordinance 698, if it is adopted, it will change Middleton City Code 5-411 to as follows. Specifically, just go down to number 1 there. It'll read, subdivisions in an R1 zone will have local roadways, sidewalks, and street lightings In the R1 zone, local roadways, sidewalks, and street lighting are not required. A minimum 3-car garage is required on each residential lot, and then this will be added. A minimum of 2 of the 3 garage bays shall have a depth of 22 feet or more from finished wall to finished wall. The 2-car portion of the garage shall also include an installed automatic garage door opener. Number 2, subdivisions in an R2 zone. Local roadways, sidewalks, and street lighting are not required if all the residential lots are at least 1/2 acre in size. A minimum 3-car garage is required on each residential lot, and this was added. Again, the same thing. Minimum of 2 of the 3-car bays shall have a depth of 22 and also an automatic garage door opener. Number 3, subdivisions for R3 zone. Curb, gutter, sidewalks, and streetlights are required. A minimum of 2-car garage is required on each residential lot. The garage shall have a minimum depth of 22 feet from finished wall to finished wall, including an installed automatic garage door opener. And then under that same section, you'll go down to a new section to be added, number 19, and it says all new home construction projects shall include the installation of roof gutters and downspouts to handle the stormwater runoff from every sloped portion of the roof. Any changes to the city's subdivision ordinance should be in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan, that's state code and city code. Planning staff finds that the proposed changes to Middleton City Code 54112 are in harmony with the comprehensive plan because nothing proposed is in conflict with the comp plan's goals, objectives, or standards. Additionally, the proposed code amendments meet goals 11 to have housing standards that improve the durability of housing in Middleton. No comments were received from the public, no comments from agencies. Notice is up there on the board. We also posted on the website additional notice. Relevant codes and standards up on the screen. Per state law, and the P&Z Commission should base any recommendation on facts and conclusions of law. Planning staff has set forth above a finding that the proposed code changes do not conflict with the city's comprehensive plan and in fact comply with goal 11. As to conclusions of law, staff finds that the Commission has the authority to recommend to City Council approval or denial of the proposed code changes. Additionally, planning staff finds that all public notice requirements were met. Staff further set forth the portions of the Idaho State Code and Middleton City Code to be considered in making a decision on the application. And I stand for questions.
Thank you, Madam Planner. So I have a quick question. I'll start off. Are we finding that new construction is not meeting these standards? Is that why we want to add these, or is it just more of a clarification?
I think some new construction is not meeting this depth of a garage.
Okay. And so is the purpose of this to free up the roadways in the subdivisions for safety purposes? That kind of the thought is?
That's the thought of the administration is so people will park their garages inside the actual garage, not on their driveway or in the street. And it poses safety against theft and also the aesthetics of having cars parked there. But people, even if you have a large garage, there's a lot of people that store a lot of stuff in there, and they still don't park their garage in there, their car in the garage, or their truck.
Yeah, so the hope is that we will get people parking in their garages, but again, that's a
The
homeowner
goal.
decision.
This is
whether
America.
they're gonna do that
Yeah, right.
or not, so, okay. Commission, do we have any questions for staff? Let's go down the road, Trimble.
What's the current depth standard? 20 feet?
There is no minimum.
Okay.
So, but if a home builder wants to sell a house, he better have a pretty good sized garage. But there are some garages where, it's smaller, there might be just older people living in them that will have small sedans. They might not make their garages as large.
So my question is if we're setting standards and we're saying it's gotta be a minimum of 3-car garage on the larger, on R1 and R2. We go down to R3 and we look at 2-car garages, what are we setting the width restrictions at? Are we talking a single, are we talking 16 feet, are we talking 14 feet, are we talking 18 feet, are we talking 20 feet wide? A standard 2, I know garages intimately, it's my business. So my question is what are we setting in a standard for a 2-car?
For width,
Yes.
there is no standard.
So we only care about depth?
Depth,
So somebody can come in and say they're building a 2-car garage, but they want to put a 12-foot wide door that you can't fit 2 cars side by side in.
well, the standard door is 16, and an upgrade is generally 18, which I would advise everybody, if you're building a house, go for the 18.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, I don't know, is that a real problem? Someone's going to do a garage door less than 16 feet standard?
I think my concern is not having something in writing, is having somebody try to come in and, depending on which way you want to go with it, I've got my druthers either way, but, if somebody wants to come in and say, hey, if we're setting a standard depth, you might as well set a standard width. Yeah, just to cover your bases. But
That's a good point, and city could do that.
Commissioner Sparrow?
Help me understand the durability of homes in the presentation.
What does that mean, variability?
Durability of
Oh,
homes.
durability of homes. Well, if you're looking at what we're dealing with tonight, like roof gutters are very good. They keep water off the foundation, and also water is controlled into certain areas to where it doesn't leak down siding. So that will, when you're controlling water, your house will be in better shape and more durable.
So, also, how many community residents have come to the city and said, hey, my garage isn't big enough, I don't have rain gutters, it's your problem?
To me personally, 0.
Okay.
But I'm understanding that to Mayor Hutchinson, this has been a thing. So people have been complaining to her, but I don't know who, when, or what.
So what about when developers come to you with building plans, or plats, preliminary plats, and they have the houses set out in specs? Is that something that needs to be addressed in an ordinance, in your opinion, as a planner?
In what way? What do you mean?
Like, because most developers, when they come into a subdivision, already have a set of plans. If you take, say, a Hubble development or a Corey Barton development, or maybe even it has properties where they've had to change some of those lot lines. They already have architectural designs that they've paid for, 4, 5, 6 designs. By making an ordinance to where they are now required to have a 22-foot garage, they're going to have to go back and get those architectural designs redone. So you got to do that for 5 or 6 different different houses that could potentially go into a development.
That could very well be the consequence. But only for building permits that are submitted after this ordinance is adopted.
Right.
Nothing that's in the queue right now.
That's a con that I see as far as this goes.
Home elevations, like you were just talking about, the elevation of the home is already predetermined. A lot of people already have, right? So, for example, Coleman Homes, right? The elevation of the home, I don't mean elevation as in height, like elevation is what the front of the house looks like, right? So the elevation of the home, they have 5 models. And these 5 models are built this way, and then the client can choose to manipulate the home and the layout either way they can. A couple of my questions are, if we haven't determined, telling somebody they have to have a 22-foot depth in their garage, right? I would appreciate that, because I'd like to park my brand new truck inside the garage, right? But if my lot size is still 8,000 square foot minimum, I can't change that floor plan without making other modifications as you talked about earlier, right? So now I'm
You're gonna lose a kitchen.
forced by a requirement to take away from my home in order to fit that garage because there's no predetermined lot size. The lot size is 8,000 square foot minimum, right?
That could be the consequence.
So a lot of the builders are currently in, we've seen all the plats, they're sticking to that 8,000 square foot minimum, trying to get as many homes as they can on that in that minimum. With that, that makes it very difficult to increase the size of the home based on the garage alone, right? As much as I'd like to park in the garage. The other question I have is, it says every sloped roof. If you'll go back to the picture, yeah, there's where it just has a little cartoon image of a home.
Yeah.
That's a sloped roof on the front,
Right.
right? Which is a decorative sloped roof. It doesn't make any sense to have a gutter on that particular sloped roof above the patio.
It makes a lot of sense to have a gutter on that roof
Well,
right there.
the water run is designed to go down to the sides, right? So
There's gonna be gutters on that. That's a sloped roof.
there's never going to be gutters on the face of that home, on the top peak.
Are you talking about the top gable
Yep.
or are you talking
So
about
very
the
top,
porch?
the gable above the porch, right? That gable roof is
Oh.
not going to have, but in the verbiage, we're saying every sloped roof.
I was gonna say, yeah, the porch cover's definitely gonna have gutters.
Exactly, but the verbiage says every slope.
Every sloped where water's gonna run off and would go just down to the foundation of the ground, there will be a gutter there, drawing it to some other place. And
Right.
I can't see the side elevations on this one, but
I'm just saying the verbiage says every slope,
every sloped roof
right?
will have a
That
gutter.
gable is a sloped roof.
It's a sloped roof.
Yeah, but it's probably gonna be along the side.
Yes.
Correct, but the verbiage doesn't say that. The verbiage says every sloped roof.
But if you've got it along the sides, that is still on that sloped roof. It's just on the sides, not on the top.
Okay, I'm just,
So I think that's.
Gutters
verbiage
handle
that-
water from every sloped roof because
Every
water
sloped roof.
runs down.
I understand that.
It will
Yeah, gravity
be
works.
handled.
It's
But it's
crazy.
not every side of every sloped roof. It's just you've gotta have a gutter on a sloped roof. So if it's on the sides where the water runs, that meets that criteria.
How would you write
But
it?
not if
The
on the
low
top.
If you did, if you don't think
Right,
that's
so the
right.
low points of the slope, right? So I'm just saying it's not specific enough to say, why am I are you requiring me as a builder? Now I'm gonna look at this, it says every sloped roof. Does that mean there's a requirement now to put a gutter on that gable?
You can only do it if there's an edge to that sloped roof. Then they would put a gutter on it.
Well, you can
You
hang a
have to
gutter
have
on
an
it.
edge. Now, if that actually dives in and there's another edge below it, almost like a dormer, then maybe so. Then you would put it on the edge. If most sloped roofs have an edge, where there's an edge, there will be a gutter. And that's what the gutter guys do.
Right.
Would you write this any differently?
So I would just say every sloped edge where it's the end of the roof, the end of a slope.
So
at the end of
every
a sloped
sloped roof
roof,
where there's a,
Every edge of a sloped roof will have a gutter.
you could make that motion then.
Right, I'm just saying, like, it's not specific enough to tell me I don't have to put one on that gable now. That was just a question, like, is there a way they can clarify that when they come see you, like, every slope
I
roof?
think it's pretty clear.
Okay, I won't change it. Every slope roof. And then the garage thing is my only other issue, and that's just because of the size of the lots, right? It makes it very difficult when
Yeah.
we're doing 8,000 square foot minimum to add feet
That's a
to a
definite
garage.
consequence.
So, follow-up question to the garage is, would a tandem garage qualify? So if you had 2-car tandem
It would.
plus a one?
It would. A tandem garage would
That could
definitely
get
be
three.
over 22 in depth.
Yeah. Let me find somebody who
Yeah,
has
who does
it.
it?
Yeah, so Janet,
So I have one of these 22 by 20 garages, and it is the bane of the existence of both my husband and I. We have a Honda Accord 4-door sedan, not big, just a sedan. with a freezer in there, which, how many people here have freezers in their garage, right? Just about everybody, right? Our freezer is only 29 inches wide. I literally have to touch the freezer, and then I barely can shut the door. So if I am using that car and it's raining or it's snowing, I have to go outside around the car, then squeeze my way in to push the button to close the garage door. That is just a Honda sedan. A couple of measurements. A Tacoma, 18.75 feet. A Tundra, 21 feet. An F-150, 20 and a half feet. And a F-250, 21 feet. As much as I totally understand the idea of having an 8,000 foot lot, when you put in a garage that is a 2-car garage and it's really not, I'm not even talking about the width. I have to take the drywall out of my garage to try to fit our 2 cars in, but then we can't get out of the cars. These are not big cars. So if we're gonna put in a garage, make it useful. Otherwise, we're requiring the homeowner who eventually buys this home to also buy a shed. Because you have a lawnmower, you got the stuff, and you're not gonna put all that in a storage unit, right? This is things that you wanna access, a workbench, whatever. Every weekend, for almost 3 years now, my husband spends at least 4 or 5 hours in the garage trying to figure out Tetris. How do I get this thing to fit? I'm going to get these 2 cars in here. There is no way he will ever get these 2 cars in. The garage, again, 22 feet by 20 with an 18-foot door. It's not a 2-car garage.
I think the other issue that's going to happen if we mandate a 22-foot garage, right? Even though right now we know that normal standard is the 16 by 20. 20, what's our depth?
I think there are some that are 20.
Standard construction is what depth?
I don't know what standard is, but I know there are some that are around 20.
22 is pretty standard.
Yep.
So we're requiring the standard.
Requiring basically a standard, but I said it's, like I said, and I'll stick for discussion.
So if it's pretty standard, right? So my truck won't fit in the garage. It just won't fit in the garage. And that's if I don't have a freezer, right? But my car fits fine, and I think mine's a standard construction 22-foot depth, right? So requiring the minimum, I think, is requiring what's already the standard. It's kind of odd to me. And
It's
if
not
we-
in the code, I mean,
Right,
it's
and
just
if we
builder
start,
standard.
if we ask for more garage, then
understand.
I see the next meeting having someone asking to change the front setbacks so they don't have to put their house so far into the property that they can go closer, they can shorten the driveway, and then they can make up for that difference in the garage depth. So I see more issues coming than gratification on that.
And I have a question, and this is just a clarifying question, Madam Planner. The requirements requiring garage door opener. What is the benefit of that?
I think it's convenience, and I haven't had any complaints about it personally, but I believe Mayor Hutchinson has
So
heard these complaints.
is this from people buying homes, or is this from people just wanting their neighbors to have it, or?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I really don't know. But I guess they've experienced from certain builders that they didn't get a garage door opener, I guess.
I mean, that's.
It seems odd to me.
Take it up with the builder.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting, I mean, it feels like we're getting dangerously into forcing hands here. And it seems like something very simple and very basic, but what if a guy wants to build a 2-car garage on his current property? He's gonna be required by these same, like, say they come and now they've got this in the code, right? They're adding on a garage or a shop to their home. They're gonna be required by this. Say they just want a shop to go put a project car or hobby in, they don't want a garage door opener, they just want something they can go into and use it as a storage unit on their property. We're forcing somebody to spend an extra $600, $700, $800 when it's not a necessity, other than a neighbor complaining.
Well, if they already have an automatic garage door opener on the primary house, they don't have any other requirements after that. It's just a minimum of 2. So if they have 4 garage doors because they have out shops, they don't have to have garage door openers.
And what if they don't? What if they have a carport and they add a garage and they're not using it to park cars, they just want to shop? You know, I mean, it's, I understand the point, but I'm playing devil's advocate here, because we're starting to force some hands here, and it's kind of a little bit, it almost seems a little over, I mean, it's something very simple, but it almost seems a little overreaching to me on that, but that's just.
Any other questions?
To further expand on what Janet was saying, quoting car dimensions, one of the bigger trucks, Ford, Dodge, whatever, long bed crew cab is almost 23 feet long.
Right.
So why don't we make it 24 feet in depth? I mean, if the minimum garage is 22, it still doesn't handle all the cars, but is 22 the right number? Both of mine are 20 and a half. They're terrible.
Your garage is 20 and a half, or the
Yeah,
truck
yeah.
cars?
The garage is 20 and a half, so I have
So there,
two
so
trucks
there
in out
are,
front.
yeah, that's what I understood too, that there were some garages that are like just 20.
And if we're trying to put a truck in there, more than likely it's going to be taller than 7 feet tall. So now do we need to minimize or mandate an 8-foot tall garage door? Right, a 22-foot long bay is not great, but you air out the tires to get your truck in there?
My 1-ton long box crew cab's not going in the garage.
Yeah.
Do you have anything?
I'm good. Most of mine have been answered so far.
I did have one more on this stormwater. The mitigation, as far as rain gutters on slope roofs and stuff like that. Currently, are we seeing, just through driving through the city up and down my neighborhood, I don't have rain gutters on the front of my house, they're only on the back of my house. Never had an issue, don't have an issue with my foundation. Most of my neighbors don't have rain gutters on their houses. Are we seeing an issue with stormwater in our neighborhoods currently? Is that why we're trying to address this in an ordinance?
I'll just tell you from personally being in a little bit of home building myself, rain gutters are very good for a healthy house. You really, and they're not terribly expensive for most people. They're a good thing to have. You can get along without them, you can, but, so this is just coming from Mayor Hutchinson and people that have been complaining too, so.
Okay.
But as a general rule, if you can put gutters on your house, you really should, young man.
I
got them on the back of the house, I just don't have them on the front of the house.
I don't have them on the front of mine either.
So
I got
It's an old
porch.
house.
I have another
Yeah.
follow-up question. Are there other cities that have similar, similar ordinances to these in their city code, or are we kind of like stepping out into new territory by adding this kind of
I
clear
did
language?
not check, so I really, really don't know. I think there might be some cities out there, but I'd say a lot of cities probably leave it up between the builder and the purchaser.
Okay.
One more question, and this is just my ignorance. So I say say as we're going through and we're trying to do some infill subdivisions here or something, we're trying to meet our different building needs, and say somebody comes in with like townhomes. Is a townhome still gonna qualify under R3, or what is that gonna be zoned at?
Great question.
We don't have R4 anymore, do we?
Nope.
No.
Multifamily maybe?
Yeah, it would be, we just tagged this on to the existing, yeah, that is a good point.
Because my thing is, you got some people that are single car families, especially older people coming in, like you could look like downtown Boise, if you're going down like, this is just a good example of some work I do in. And you have like these townhome developments that are stationed more towards older people that don't want a lot of upkeep, they want this, and they have a 1-car garage. Are now we limiting our ability to provide I'm not saying to like grow the town per se, but like to kind of meet our current goals of providing housing. It's not just 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses. Or now are we going to limit ourselves? Builders coming in that are like, hey, I want to do a 1-car garage. It's a double deep, say like a 12-foot door. That's why I'm going back to this. Is a nice big 1-car garage. Are we hanging ourselves now?
Well, same thing, like, a lot of the infill projects, the properties are smaller, they don't even meet the
Right.
8,000 square foot minimum, right? And if you go to downtown Boise, they did a whole renovation on some of those little 2-story skinny houses,
Yeah.
right? If somebody wanted to come do some two-story skinny houses down here as an infill project, we just handicap them.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like you go down by like the MK More, like if you go down like Park Center before you go down, you turn right on the river on the Green Belt. There's these really, and they're nice high-end townhomes, you know, they're gated community, it's nice, it's a lot of, we just handcuffed ourselves. We can't build that anymore, based off of a garage ordinance.
Yeah, but how many times have they asked for variances on an ordinance?
That's what we're just asking for more variances right
Yeah.
now.
Right.
Yeah,
Or we
and
need
that's
to
not
include
good.
multifamily so that it takes care of that issue, so it's addressed.
So currently today, any multifamily in the MF zone would have no minimum, maximum garage. They can do what they want. This is only R1, R2, R3.
But would a townhome be classified as multifamily because it's not technically because it's not technically
A townhome cannot be built in R3. It'd have to be in
It has to be- it has to
newer
be-
multifamily.
okay. That's what I wanted to
100%.
clarify. Okay, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But you are
what
talking
about
about the same
single
thing with the
skinny
infill
homes?
project. If I want to come build my own house as an infill project and now they want, I can't do it anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, so those like tiny skinny homes, like he's saying that they built downtown Boise. And that would go in an R1 on like, say, a 5,000 square foot lot.
It'd go in
Downtown
R3,
Middleton.
smaller lot requirement.
Or in
Yeah.
R3, R4 probably is what's probably zoned, you know, it's probably zoned from the 50s. But, they would be tied to this ordinance, right? And they'd have to put a 3-car garage on it. On that lot that's 16 feet wide,
Yeah.
you know? I think we have a lot of empty lots that people would love to build on that would not be able to build with this ordinance.
Should we hear public comment?
Janet?
This references subdivisions. It doesn't reference an individual lot. So is that argument a moot point? If somebody wants to come in and build a
But an
single family
individual
home?
lot's part of a subdivision.
The owner or the subdivider. So it's not just a subdivision, it's any lot.
Well,
Subdivision is not specific to like building a subdivision. So a lot is subdivided, making it a subdivided or subdivision lot.
now, actually, Janet is kind of seeing an issue. It is the subdivision ordinance. But it happened before me. So, our subdivision ordinance and our zoning ordinance are kind of supposed to be two separate birds. And I wish I had the time to fix it, but I don't. And over the years with previous planners, they had gotten kind of messy and the lines are not clear. So this is being stuffed into the subdivision ordinance, but our code is so vague, it also is acting as a zoning ordinance. So as a practical matter, I would apply this to a single parcel, even if it wasn't in a subdivision. But you're right, that it is the subdivision ordinance. So that's something I really, really, really want to clean up in this town one day. But it'll be a massive, you know, and I haven't had time. I mean,
You can't pull the Band-Aid fast off that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's on my list of, I really want a technical zoning ordinance and a technical subdivision ordinance that's crystal clear, which is which.
Right.
And when I look back at the old codes from 10 plus years ago, we did have that. And somehow it's gotten muddied.
So could this ordinance be rewritten in a way that it starts that separation, where the wording is such that this pertains to,
Subdivision zoning.
I don't know how you would word it, but yeah, subdivisions as opposed to single-family lots and/or however you would do it. It just seems that there's a lot, after all of this conversation, there's a lot that could be done to rework this a little bit, and maybe it needs to go through another draft.
I looked at it with the lawyer, where to put these in, and based on our murky, this was truly the best. And as a planning and zoning official, if a single parcel came to me and it was in the R3 zone, I'm just gonna apply it. And I think that there's justification for that. I wish I could get started on that right now, but it's gonna be rebuilding foundations of these ordinances. It can be done.
We're ready for public comments? Okay, all right, so we'll move into the public testimony section of this hearing at 6:10 PM. Mike Grafe, do you need me to go through my testimony guidelines? Or you got it? Do you want me to read my testimony guidelines, or do you got
I
it?
think I've been to enough of these, I understand.
He's waving his right truck.
Mike Grafe, 1889 Ridgeway. You got that right.
Yes, you did.
You, I really agree with. That's, my house is on a 5,600 square foot lot, and I understand that's not what this is all about. But from the back door of my house going into my garage to the garage door is 19.5, 19 feet 5 inches. Good luck, Ray. It ain't gonna happen. I got a F-150, the door and a half, you know,
Yep.
it won't fit. Well, if it does fit, you'll be scraping paint either off the wall or off the outfit. If, I understand the codes are messed up, but when you build a house, you build it from the foundation up. And what's the foundation of a city? It's your codes and your ordinances and all of that type of stuff. To be honest with you, I think that's what we should be working on. This, from my point, 22 feet, if you're gonna make that a minimum garage size, is too small. Should be closer to 24 feet would be
Right.
more suitable to what's actually happening. And I'm an old person, I kinda resent the fact that old people don't wanna cut their grass and don't wanna do this and want smaller lots. I left 5 acres in Howe, Idaho, and I've cried every day since, because I went from 5 acres to 5,600 square foot lot. And I don't want Middleton to end up that way. And we've got a heck of a good start that that's the way we're gonna end up. You talked about Boise and the townhomes or whatever they are. I don't want us to be that. I want us to be, it goes back to, I gave presentations to the planning and zoning, the last 2 mayors, and the city council as well. And in R3, I've said right now it should be 1/3 of an acre, which is 12,700 square feet. And I still, in the bottom of my heart, that's what it should be. There should be no 5,000 square foot deals, and that had to be a variance back then. There should be no 8,000 square foot lots in the city of Middleton. You're trying to stuff 5 pounds of something in 10 pounds of something in a 5-pound sack, and it don't fit. And if you drive down the street, come over you've been to my house, I think, haven't you? Come down the street. I mean, the fire engine, good luck. If there was a fire in an emergency situation and have a police car there and try to get a fire engine, you ain't gonna make it. You can watch my house burn. I'll throw weenies and marshmallows at you to watch you do it. But anyway, that's what my point is. Go to the core problem here, and the core problem here is our lot size.
Yes.
It's too small. At 8,000 square feet is too small. But that's not what this meeting was about, and that's not what this was about. So I kind of overstepped my bounds here. But please forgive me for that.
Thank you, Mike. Okay. Public testimony closed at 6:14. Commission discussion.
I don't have any further discussion.
I mean, I'll just kind
Take a
of,
motion if that's what we're gonna do.
I'll just reiterate real quick. Like I said, it goes back to it. Like I said, my biggest concerns are with if we're gonna set a depth. I'm kind of playing both sides here. If we're gonna set a depth that makes sense, I'm good with that. My other concerns are, like I said, there was overreach though too. Like I said, we go back to the R1 and R2 lots. Say somebody buys a half-acre lot, you know, or buys a bigger lot that's inside the city limits, and they don't want a 3-car garage. They want a 2-car garage, and they want to, you know, and that's just what they want. Like I said,
Make it a tandem.
But maybe
what if
they
they
don't want
want
it.
it? Yeah, what if they don't want it? You know, what if they've got an acre and they want what if they got an acre of ground and they want a 3/4 acre pasture or something, you know, what have you? We're dictating. I think it goes to overreach a little bit. You know, if you're gonna, I'm all for it, but at the same time, it's like, are we gonna? It goes to cookie cutter. It goes to cookie cutter, and then it goes back to like the opener stuff. Like, if we're requiring somebody, if they don't want that, why force somebody to do something they don't want to do? You know, I mean, it comes back to that. That's just my opinion on it.
So then I would move that we recommend denial of the request.
We've got some.
Sorry.
we're
Be
having
loud,
discussion.
be loud.
I can't wait to be louder than that.
Commissioner Gibson.
Oh, no, I just lost my thought. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
When people can't park their cars and their trucks in the garage and they go on the street, it gives a completely different feel than I think what we're striving for. And there are some places here where the driveways and the garages are adequate and there's no one parking on the street and it's a very clean appearance. And then you go to other places and there's cars in front of every single house, and that sends a different kind of a message. So yes, it might be overreach, and I certainly didn't move here for regulations, but I also don't want it to become a ghetto. Individuals, go back to the request for a variance. If an individual buys a piece of property, that individual could come ask for a variance, and it would make perfect sense. If we don't create standards that are useful, not just numbers, but actually useful for the people, not just buying the home now, but the person that resales, you know, that buys it the second or third owner. They didn't have the option to get a bigger garage. They're stuck with what I have. They're stuck with what Mike has. And it's not appropriate in my mind.
Okay, any other commissioner discussion?
Go ahead.
Commissioner Sparrow?
In my opinion, this is a buyer-builder issue. It is not a city-builder issue. As a buyer of a home here in Middleton, when I purchased my home, I saw the size of the garage. I was perfectly fine spending the money on the garage size that I had, regardless of what the city requirements are. For me, I'm in agreement with Mike as far as we need to look at that down the road, but in regards to this specific ordinance, I think you're stepping on the builder's rights, you're stepping on the personal property owner's rights. If they want a bigger garage, they can go to the builder and say, hey, I want a 40-foot garage. I want to park an RV in there. And then you also have HOAs that go along with that. So yeah, you drive down the street, you see cars parked along the side of the street. There are also, where I live, there's an HOA that says, okay, if you're gonna have an RV on your property, it has to be behind a gated fence. So not only, if we pass an ordinance like this, or recommend for approval an ordinance like this, you're gonna have an issue that's really a buyer-builder issue, but then it goes to buyer HOA, builder HOA, and it's just one more step in creating essentially an anti-state to where personal property rights are out the window, to be honest with you. If they want a house that requires that kind of garage, they can't find it here in Middleton, they're free to shop elsewhere, in my opinion, if it's not what they need. But I don't think this is something that we should really be involved in as the city, especially when you get as minute as rain gutters. That's just my opinion.
Commissioner Gregory, did you have anything?
I've known most of mine have been answered, so.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, then I'll take a motion, right? Commissioner Waltman, I'll take a motion.
I move that we recommend denial regarding the request of City of Middleton to amend Middleton City Code Section 5-4-11-2 to require all new homes to be built with one-car garage that has a minimum depth of 22 feet, 2 automatic garage door openers, and 3 roof gutters and downspouts to handle stormwater runoff of every sloped roof.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Waltman, a second from Commissioner Sparrow. And let's do a roll call on this. And we start at the other end.
Uh-huh. Commissioner Gibson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gregory,
Yes.
Yes to deny.
Denial.
Right.
Okay, good.
okay. Commissioner Waltz-Mate,
Yes to denial.
Commissioner Sparrow,
Yes to denial.
Commissioner Watkins,
Yes to denial.
Commissioner Tremble,
Yes to denial.
Chairman Summers.
Yes to denial.
And so when I write the FCR to city council, I really try to put down everybody's thoughts, but sometimes it's very hard.
Right.
So would the basic reason be, couple of reasons. It'd be personal property rights and leave it between the builders and the purchasers, but also, is that capturing it, or what were some?
Not for me.
I can start if we want to kind of just go down to give you ideas, Roberta. Maybe
Okay.
that's a good idea. Not to
Yeah.
overstep, sure.
No, go
Yeah.
for it.
But like we can all kind of put our feedback in here. So I believe on my end, like I said, the multi-use thing, that cleared up a lot for me. But I don't think requiring a 3-car garage is a necessity. I'm okay with a 2-car garage coming down the line.
But
Okay.
well, only the 3-car garage is already code. That was codified a long time ago.
It is
Yeah,
currently code.
it's only
code.
what's
For
underlined that's
R1
new.
and R2.
Okay, so R1, okay, so
Yeah.
then I apologize, that's my fault. So then with that, I am okay with setting a reasonable size. I think I'm in agreement with Commissioner Gibson and Commissioner Waltman on that. But then I'm
So
also,
are you saying this is unreasonable because it should be more or less? Like I know Janet.
I'm saying size-wise, I'm saying more.
If you're gonna
I'm-
mandate,
I'm-
you
yes.
need to put
There,
more.
there's, I think we're getting a denial on both sides. We get
Exactly.
denial on where we got personal property issues, and we also have a denial based on, hey, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. So my thing is just that,
Height and width also needs to be.
yeah,
added to
and
the
then
minimum
agree, I think if we're gonna
Yes.
set standards, we
We're
set
gonna
standards
set
all
one,
the
we need
way.
to set all three.
Yeah,
And door standards?
yeah, like a
Door
width,
seems
width,
to be
not a door standard per se, but a width standard, a standard width.
I get,
Mhm.
yep.
And a height. Let's just, if you're gonna do it. But then also, I think there's some stuff where we overreach a little bit, like I said, requiring, like I said, if somebody's got a, like I said, and they can, I understand you can get a variance on this and stuff, but like the requirement of a garage door opener, my business is in garages, I do garage floor coatings, that's what I do. I'm in 5 to 6 garages every day, 52 weeks a year, basically. Any new construction in the last 10 years, I have not seen a home built without a garage door opener
Yeah.
in it. So I think for us to come back and say, hey, you've got to do this, is just, they're spending nowadays. I replace garage door openers, I've got a shop behind my house, I've got a 2-car garage and a 2-car shop. It cost me almost $2,000 to put new garage door openers in on all 4 doors. That's a $600 to $700 to $800 expense. If somebody's building and they don't need it, I don't think we force them to.
So is the main reason for everybody that if you're gonna do it, go large, why width and height also?
Yes.
How about the overreach with respect to say like the gutters and the garage door opener? Everybody pretty much agrees with that
Yeah,
too?
for me, it was the gutters and the garage door openers
Okay.
that killed it.
That's a builder issue, that's not a city issue.
Yeah.
I can see gutters over walkways being a standard, but requiring gutters over.
Like you say, I always appreciate the gutters, but I don't think we need to
Yeah.
make the builder
And
sell a
to,
$17,000 gutters.
It's
when
gonna
we can have
increase
it.
the cost of the home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
and to support the city clerk, we also think there should be clear definition between subdivision and
Yeah.
other
Yes.
ordinances.
Absolutely.
And then another recommendation also when this goes to city council is to have some, to be able to identify other communities around us that have similar language in their ordinances to show that this is kind of a standard, that we're not trying to be radical
Yeah, right.
in the city of Middleton, that we're just kind of like matching our neighbors a little bit with requirements.
Okay.
Commissioner Gibson.
I have a small little issue with that. Just because one city does it doesn't mean that everybody has to do it. And much like our ordinance for schools, school capacity, we don't have to follow along, we can lead. We can lead from the front. And we have the ability to do that because of the situation that we're in. We aren't as developed as Star, Caldwell, Namba, anybody else. So anytime I hear, what is everybody else doing? I don't care if you're talking about who's eating what hot dog or who's building a road. There is no reason for us to have to follow along. We can lead from the front.
We can, however, we also don't want to be so radical that we get known to be the radical
We are,
city that nobody wants to go do business with.
Go put toothpaste back in that tube.
No, there's no.
Okay, that was just my opinion.
It's fair.
Anybody else?
I'll save mine for the comments at the end.
Okay.
So I think I understand basically now. Thank you.
Okay, so we will close that hearing at 6:26 p.m. Now we have public comments. Do we have any?
No, I don't think so.
See what this written say.
Maggie mentioned like one small thing.
On what we just were talking about, or no?
Yeah.
Well, I think we closed it.
Yeah, we
It's
closed
fine.
it.
You should have spoke up earlier.
So,
Just public comments.
Like with, you know, with cars or vehicles being on the city streets that can be open to crime, maybe that's gonna happen regardless if your car's parked in the driveway or on the street. And 95% of any vehicle burglaries or vehicles that have been stolen is always because they've been unlocked with keys in plain view, or, you know, your cell phone or a gun or a wallet or a purse in the front seat.
Oh, boy.
You know, so if people just actually lock their stuff up without having valuables in plain sight, chances are you're gonna be okay. As far as thefts or things like that. So,
Yep.
I'm surprised you actually have to tell people that.
Every day.
and
You know,
a lot of
day.
people that have done reports with or other officers, you know, it's always the same mindset, like, oh, well, back 20 years ago, we leave our house unlocked. Like,
Right.
well, it's a different world now, and if that were the case, when you have the person, you know, casing neighborhoods in the middle of the night, pulling on door handles, they just look for the ones that actually open, and then dig in and, you know, find whatever they want to find. So why make it easy on the person that wants to take your property? Make it difficult. Make them break out the window. They're probably not going to. So, that's fine.
That's a
Lock
PSA.
thank you. Okay, we have no public comments. So we don't even need to open a public comment section. So now we're just left with commission and staff comments. Any commission discussion on anything unrelated to what we just talked about? Commissioner Sparrow?
Yeah, Madam Planner, is there a way that we can have city administration look at potentially looking at R1, R2, and R3, as far as size of lots go, 8,000 square feet for 12,000? I know that's been a concern. This is the 7th meeting that I know that you've brought it up.
Bringing that up forever.
I know, and that's
years.
Like 4 years.
4 years, but that's something that it continually gets brought up, and I think it would solve a lot of the issues that we have as far as garage size, as far as some of the other things that are going on in the city, is if we actually take a look at what the problem is, get to the root of it, which is lot sizes. Bigger lots, you can have bigger garages, you can have bigger houses.
City Council's heard this. There was a whole workshop on it. Wasn't there?
Multiple workshops in the
Yeah,
last
and
few years.
they've not taken any action on it.
So we
City
need to
Council.
revisit it. I'm with Sparrow. We're like, this has got to be revisited again. Reason being, adjusting the lot sizes based on buildable acres per versus accrued, right? However you want to say it. If the lot is 10 acres And then we have to work on that verbiage that then excludes or eliminates the square footage for streets and green space. And then you have what's left, and that's the buildable acres. And I think that verbiage is what needs to be changed so that you end up with the proper lot size. And we have had this discussion for 4 years. And by the time it goes to city council, and it's nothing against city council or the planner or anybody else, but we get to a point where we're at a workshop, and then we're looking at another ordinance, and then we got a different meeting, and then and it's not that it gets pushed to the side, it just gets to the, why are we changing this now? Let's move it on to something else. And it gets maybe put off to the left or moved to the back burner. It's not that it has ever not been taken action on, it's just that it gets to a point where we should probably be looking at making a decision or looking at that verbiage, and then we're looking at the right time of year where now they're so jammed with applications, and it just, that's how it works. We just get to a point where the workload, the current workload, becomes more important than revisiting full workload. And I think we need to revisit it.
And to expand on that, if I'm not mistaken, Madam Planner, 2 administrations ago we changed from R1, R2, R3, R4 to just R1, R2, R3, correct?
It was before me, I think it was under Darren Taylor, yeah.
During,
don't know for sure, though.
during that shift, I think as we go on and look at that, I think it would behoove us to look at, because again, there are the possibilities for an infill and stuff. I said, I'm not trying to promote that, but where you have that, instead of having this ambiguity, the R3 is such an ambiguous zone here.
Maybe reintroduce R4?
Yeah.
I would highly recommend reintroducing R4 and go to the R1, R2, R3, and just, I mean, kick it back to match the county. It might actually clarify some things where, from a builder perspective, if you've got a builder who's willing to work with the city and with the county, and I'm with Commissioner Gibson as far as not trying to match neighbors, but simplification and matching our zoning codes to the county, not codes per se, but at least size-wise. Obviously, the county has a moratorium right now, de facto, at where they're wanting 2-acre lots. Now you can variance that with that, but that's what Canyon County is asking for right now is 2-acre lots. Now, obviously, a city can't do that. And this is discussion, so I like,
We don't
so I
have
like
land
this
for
part.
that here,
Exactly.
but yeah, I agree.
But if we do, there might be somebody that does want to go a 1-acre lot in town. There might be somebody who wants to go an R2, and have a half-acre lots, R3, like Mr. Graves says, 1/3-acre lots. R4, a 1/4-acre lot, I think is about as small as you want to go, but that's where we're sitting at right now. We're actually with that, but and then again, I'm with Commissioner Waltman too, as far as clearing up buildable. It's like money, gross versus net, and there's different ways to go about that. But I think I haven't been on this commission too long, but I've been on long enough to know. I hear from Mr. Graves, and I hear Commissioner Waltman, I hear Commissioner Sparrow, and I've heard multiple other people in here, and I think we could solve a lot of questions and a lot of what ifs, whys. I think it would behoove the city to reopen that discussion. And I know we've had multiple workshops. I know it's one of those things we come back, but boy, I think it would solve a lot of problems and solve this. And then it comes back to when we're sitting here and we're listening to builders come in and give their presentations. And you've got a builder that's building you got one builder that's building R3 and he's coming in, and you've got 12 to 15,000 acre lots, and you got another builder coming in R3 that's
7,000.
7,000, 8,000, and then
999.
buildable. It's like, and then you're going through and you got, and then if the city wants to come back and they want to make different requirements for an R4, different requirements for an R3, it could, like I said, I think by introducing another thing, it could save yes, we are introducing another stepping stone, but it could save a lot of time. It could save a lot of time, and it could save a lot of heartache too.
You could resolve a lot of those builder buyer issues if you had a 13,000 square foot lot based on an R3, right? That's
Exactly.
minimum.
Yes.
Exactly. I
You
mean,
wouldn't
'cause
have to worry about a requirement, 22
1,000
square feet.
Yeah,
25
1,000%. That's and I think at the end of the day, it would actually help. And I could be wrong, but knowing what I know about construction and that, as a builder comes in, it could help city staff too, because like, hey,
Spell that.
it's like here it is. It's boom, you got an R1. boom, you got an R2, boom, you got an R3, boom, you got an R4. It's not a, hey, I got an R3. Because if you come through and say, hey, and that could help our flume too, as we go through our new comp plan, and if we're going to adjust the flume and say, hey, we want to look at this for R4, we want to look at this for R3.
That would be great, and that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think the comp plan is going to bring up these issues
Good.
a lot as we go through the workshops, and they're about ready to start here in the next month or two. So I think it might trigger exactly what you're saying.
September, right?
Yeah, we start in September.
Yeah, hopefully October maybe.
Knock on wood.
I got a date on my phone already, September something.
September. I have one in
Well, there
September
is,
also.
in September, there's a FLUM workshop. Yes, you're right on
Yes.
that. But that's a precursor,
To the,
yeah,
Oh, okay.
to the actual workshops.
That might be a really good place to start talking about this.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. So, and you just have to realize that if you want to do more like R4s or R5s, like Star and those kind of things, that the builders will often, when they annex in, they're all going to go for R4. They'll have even smaller lots. Right now, the zoning keeps our lots at what in other cities would be considered estate lots, large lots.
R3 just needs to be dialed in.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, if you had an R4, like I said, with a quarter acre lot, I don't think we need to, when we don't, there's nothing that says we have to go to an R5. You know, right, but.
Well, and if
That's
you
what
did the
they'll all
quarter acre
request,
lot-
though.
Sure.
Like you're talking about, if you did the quarter acre lot though, and you actually did the math based on, right, this is the buildable versus,
Sure.
right, then
Yeah.
you would have a true quarter acre lot. You would have a true third acre lot.
And maybe that's a chance where we can lead.
Yeah. And what it does is
Yes.
it just reduces the number of homes that builders can build, and that's where the rub starts happening.
Right.
But as we do more infill projects and projects that are closer to the core of the city, that R4, those reduced size lots make total sense.
They do.
But, so there is no chance that a developer could come in at Purple Sage and say they want to do R4, because the land use won't permit that.
Right. So
Right.
you could even verbiage that the R4 is designed specifically
R4
for
zone.
infill projects.
What?
Can you have an R4 zone?
We do not have an R4 zone.
No, I said, like if we hypothetically do an R4, can we have an R4 zone in the city?
That would be the purpose of it, yes.
Yeah.
See, and that
On the
makes
zoning
sense.
map.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on the FLUM, for the comp plan, it would say like higher density residential.
Right.
Yeah.
in the two.
Could say like a 55 and over community or something, want to come in patio homes, you know, that or whatever. And again, I'm not trying to match what's around, but said you're not trying to grow the city, but you want to give options to provide the housing that people need.
Realistic options.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not 2 cents.
That was more like 5 cents.
Any other discussion?
Appreciate all you do, Madam Planner.
Absolutely.
Okay, we
Yes.
need to adjourn so that we can get our Madam
Dinner.
Planner home for dinner.
Yes.
Because that was one thing she appreciated about me, and I want to
Keep it going.
keep going. All right, so does somebody want to give me a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And
Second.
we're adjourned.
Thank you.
6:39 p.m.
Thanks, Sergeant.
Right.
It was actually 6:39.
Chair, that's what actually fits under your. I'm trying to.
That's Dave's chair.